Hi, Banana Recap here. Today, I am going to explain a film called That Obscure Object of Desire. Watch out and take care. Matthew is a wealthy middle-aged Frenchman who wants to buy 2 train tickets to Paris. There are no empty seats, so he is offered a ticket to Madrid and from there he can travel to the French capital. He agrees and returns to his hotel, where he meets his butler and faithful servant. The man cleans up a room full of traces of blood and women's clothes. On his way to the airport, Matthew witnesses the murder of a wealthy man blown up in his own car. Arriving at the train station, Matthew and his servant take their seats according to the tickets they have bought. The wealthy man is seated in a first-class compartment, while the butler goes to another part of the train. In the compartment, Matthew meets his neighbors on the way to Madrid. Among them are a Parisian woman and her daughter, a judge, and a psychologist. Before the train departs, Matthew decides to have a smoke and goes out into the corridor of the carriage. Looking out of the window, he notices a young, battered girl examining each carriage. Not wanting to communicate with her, he asks the conductor to let him pass to the toilet. As soon as the girl is near the correct carriage, Matthew pushes her away and pours a bucket of water over the pretty girl's head. Determined not to give up, she jumps into one of the last carriages. Everyone in the compartment wonders why Matthew did it, but no one dares to ask him directly except the little girl. He explains that she could be deprived of her life for such behavior, and that a bucket of cold water is the minimum she deserves. Everyone is curious about the story, so Matthew decides to tell about his acquaintance with Conchita and the romance that ensues between them. After meeting his cousin, Matthew invites the man to his house. At the house he met his new maid, named Conchita. Matthew immediately noticed that she was an inexperienced and clumsy girl with no experience as a maid. That night he decided to invite her to his room for a drink. In the course of the dialogue, the man got to know the girl a little and realized that she does not like to work, clean, wash or cook, but only wants to lie on the sofa and dance. Relaxed, Matthew kissed the young 18-year-old Conchita, but she did not respond to his signs of attention, running away from the bedroom of the wealthy Frenchman. The next morning the butler reports that Conchita has left the house without taking money for 2 days' work. She was hired through an advertisement, so there is no home address or phone number to contact the girl. 3 months later, Matthew went to Switzerland. While walking in the park, he was attacked by 3 young men demanding 800 francs. After giving the robbers the money, the wealthy Frenchman wanted to appeal to a passing policeman, but realized that he could not help him. Back at the hotel, Matthew met Conchita, who was on tour in Switzerland, earning money to support her mother. The 3 robbers are her friends and part of the band. The band has no money to return home, and they need 800 francs to buy tickets. The kindly Matthew leaves the money with the girl and asks for her home address in return. Conchita gives in to the kindness of the man and says she lives on the outskirts of Paris. Returning to the French capital, Matthew immediately goes home to Conchita. Conchita's father had committed suicide, so she lives with her mother. Taking some money from the man, her mother leaves the slum flat, allowing Conchita and Matthew to be alone. The girl hints at a mutual sympathy, but is not ready to be with a mature man. For a month, he goes to Conchita every day trying to win her affection. One day she lets him see her in her underwear, then sits on Matthew's lap and kisses him passionately. The man wants to continue, but Conchita pushes the insistent suitor away. As it turns out, she is a virgin and has never been in bed with a man before. Inviting Conchita's mother, Matthew gives the woman money to convince her daughter to move into his house. Having prepared rooms for Conchita, the man hopes to meet her on the doorstep of his house, but outside the door he sees her friend with a letter in his hands. Conchita learns that Matthew has given her mother money, so she does not want to see the man and asks him to forget her forever. Matthew arrives at Conchita's house, but learns that she and her mother left this morning and are unlikely to return. Meeting his cousin in a restaurant, Matthew tells him of his unrequited love. On leaving the restaurant, the cousin sees that Conchita is working as a cloakroom attendant. The girl apologizes for her ridiculous behavior and agrees to move into the man's country house. On his way out of town, Matthew learns again that an attempt has been made on the life of a wealthy Parisian. In the evening the girl prepares to spend the night with her lover. She lets him touch her firm bubbles but refuses Matthew's intimacy. The unsatisfied man tries to take Conchita by force and she asks him to put out the candles. Fulfilling his lover's wish, Matthew lies down in bed and begins to touch the girl, but something prevents him. It turns out that Conchita is wearing sturdy trousers of sailcloth. He tries to take them off for 10 minutes, but all his efforts fail. The exhausted Matthew cries, but the girl calms him down and tells him that all will soon change. Opening a newspaper before going to bed, Matthew again sees the news of a terrorist attack. The explosion destroys a plane, taking with it 290 human lives. Conchita, who has come out of the bath, lies down with a man, but reminds him that he is only allowed to caress her bubbles. The couple's conversation is interrupted by the sound of gunfire. Looking out the window, Conchita sees 2 men shot in a showdown. Matthew tries to distract the girl and kiss her, but she still pushes the wealthy Frenchman away. Unable to withstand the rejection, he chases Conchita into another bedroom, but a couple of minutes later he hears a strange noise. Entering the lover's room, Matthew discovers her friend and throws them both out of the house. Sometime later the man realizes that he cannot live without Conchita and is ready to humiliate himself in front of her, only to have the girl return. The cousin decides to help Matthew forget about the girl and deports her and her mother back to Spain. In order to forget about the ardent beauty, the man decides to go on a trip and, with his eyes closed, chooses Singapore on the map. Because of his feelings, he changes his mind and travels with his butler to Seville, Conchita's hometown. Once in Spain, Matthew enjoys his holiday. A few days later he meets Conchita's mother and the girl herself. She tells him how she feels and regrets what happened. The girl has realized her mistakes and is willing to redeem herself, but so far she has only allowed herself to be hugged through the bars. Finally she tells him that she works in a cabaret nearby and he can come there to see her perform. Once at the bar, the man admires the girl performing on stage. Going down to Matthew, she says she needs to take a nap to avoid falling asleep on stage and leaves. The kind-hearted woman approaches Matthew and calls him an old and gullible idiot. She tells him where Conchita has really gone. Going up to the first floor, Matthew goes to the lounge and sees his beloved dancing naked in front of foreign tourists. He bursts into the room and drives the tourists away. She is enraged at Matthew's jealousy, as it is the only thing she knows how to do. The girl says she is madly in love with Matthew and wants to spend her life with him, but she needs a house of her own in Seville where her beloved can visit. She is ready to give herself and lose her virginity, as she trusts Matthew and has no doubts about his feelings. The naive Frenchman buys the property and gives the keys to the girl. In the evening, Conchita does not allow the man into her house and informs him that she has always hated him and wishes Matthew dead. In fact, the musician friend is the lover she has been seeing for a long time. To prove it, she undresses the young boy and then undresses herself. Matthew is not going to watch her do it with another and leaves. On his return to the hotel, Matthew falls victim to robbers who knock out his driver and steal his car. In the morning Conchita goes to the hotel to tell Matthew that she is in fact still a virgin. Last night's events are a performance to test the sincerity of the man's feelings. The musician friend is in fact gay and not interested in girls. Matthew is not prepared to listen to Conchita's excuses, so he harms her, after which he leaves the room and takes the train to Madrid. As Matthew finishes his story, Conchita enters the compartment and pours a bucket of water on the man's head. Having reconciled, the couple return to France. Strolling around Paris, they enter one of the shopping centers. On a loudspeaker they are told of terrorist organizations that have formed a single criminal syndicate. Approaching a shop window with wedding dresses, Matthew takes a closer look at one of them. The salesgirl is darning a torn and bloody deflowered bride's dress. As the couple walk away from the shop and continue to stroll through the arcade, a bomb explodes, destroying the shopping center and everyone inside. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.